Every parsha is fascinating. This week's parsha, there's in the first part of the parsha, we have the section that talks about Machatzis HaShekel. So I want to read through these psukim. I want to ask you, do you think I want to think of three things. One, what's the function of it? Two, is this just like a one-time mitzvah, or is this a long-term mitzvah? And is there like some type of danger that might happen? Like, you'll see about the psukim, there's something like dangerous that could arise from this process. So we want to look for what is the danger. It appears the Chumash is saying there's some type of danger of some sort. What's the kapara that's happening here? Is this a one-time mitzvah? Is this permanent? And what's its function? Okay, let's read. This is actually, we read this not long ago, because this is actually the maftir for Shabbos Shkalim. So, just a couple weeks ago. Which is read the Shabbos before Rosh Chodesh Adar. Ki sisa es rosh b'nei Yisrael lifkudehem. When you count, literally, the heads of b'nei Yisrael lifkudehem, right? Talking about people, right? Lifkudehem, their countings from the code to count. V'nasenu ish kofer nafsho. And every man has to give a kofer nafsho, almost like an atonement, right? From Yom Kippur, right? An atonement, covering for his soul. L'Hashem bifkodosam. V'lo yevahem negef bifkodosam. So that there will not be a negef. What's a negef? There will not be a plague when you count them. Zeh yutenu. This is what you'll give. Kol hover ala pekudim. Everybody who comes forth to be counted, Machatzis HaShekel b'Shekel HaKodesh. You need to give this half shekel, Shekel HaKodesh, Esrim Geira, 20 Geira shekel, Machatzis HaShekel Truma L'Hashem. And Kol Over Pekudim, who are the people that have to pass forth to be counted? V'Nesim V'Mala Yitain Trumas Hashem. Hashir Lo Yarbeh, Hadol Lo Yam'i Machatzis HaShekel, La'seis Es Trumas Hashem, L'Chaper V'Noshol Sechem. Doesn't matter rich or poor. Everyone has to give this amount as a kapara al nafsho sechem. L'zachdad kesef hakipurim, and you will take this money, this silver from the Jewish people, v'nasasa uso al v'ludas omled, and you will give it towards the construction project. Right? These are parshios of the Torah, right? Truma tetzaveh. V'nyam kisisa, the next v'akapagute, the building of the Mishkan. V'nei yisrael zikaron, v'nei Hashem l'chaper al nafsho sechem. This will be some type of lizikon. This will be some remembrance for God as a kapara for you. How do you picture this? What's going on here? What are you thinking? One. First of all, is this a mitzvah forever or one time? What would you say? And why? Yeah, very good. I mean, if this commandment is just to build Ol Moed, so it's a one-time request. No? One-time request, Ol Moed's built. Good, wonderful. But what seems to be implied by some of these words? Meaning, is that a one-time thing? Or is that going to be something which is permanent? Unclear, right? It's unclear. That permanent. What about, so what's this kapara? Like, what's this atonement for? Anybody, why is it an atonement? What's it for? What do you know? Okay. So Torah says, because when we're counting the people, we counting the people? So doesn't mean any demand to count people. It doesn't we're just counting money, no? We just want a tally of money. Okay, true, it is representing people. I'm tricking you a little bit. What? So in Bamidbar, there's a tzivur to count the people, no? What's the name for Sefer Bamidbar? Sefer Pekudim. Right? Bnei Yisrael get counted. So if you take a look in Chumash, it say beginning of PARSHA Bamidbar? Did I print that out? Yeah, I didn't. It's actually the Abarba now, which I did bring you in source 4. He's talking about that counting. Take a look. Here, look at this. Ready? I'm reading from the Midbar, Parak Aleph Pasuk Beis. What month are we in? Chodesh Hashini. This is ER, right? Year 2 of ER. Su'u is Rosh Kol Adas B'nei Yisrael. What is Su'u? What is Su'u? To raise up. B'mispar SHEMOS Kol Zachar Mibenet Nishva Malachas Yisrael Tifkedu Osam. Hey Jackie. Right, what do we see? That we're counting, no? This is a tzivui to count. Okay, thanks. Right? There's an explicit commandment to count. By the way, you know what's really neat? You know what the number is of our Parsha? So it's 600, well, when you double it, you get 603,550. Guess what the total is going to be in Parsha Bamidbar? The exact same. 603,550. Meaning, if I take all the shekels that were collected in Kisisa, and I double the half shekel, I get to the total number of people that are counted in Bamidbar. Is that a coincidence? Now, what's the time span difference between the two? So when is it Tzivur in Kisisa? So what month are we in now in Chumash? We leave when? We live in Nisan, so where are we in Chumash? What's happened so far? What's it going to depend on, right? Is this Tzivui after Chedega, before Chedega? If it's after Chedega, according to Rashi, what month are we in? Let's go to the calendar. Jewish people leave in Nisan, so it is ER? Sivam, got the Torah, right? So when does a Chedega happen? When's Chedega? When's Chedega? What's the date of Chedega? Shvar Tammuz, no? When does Chedega happen? No, okay. So let's say it's Sivan, right? But the luchot are smashed. When are the luchot smashed? Which is Shvar Tammuz, after 4 days after Shavuos, right? We put up a chart of counter. What happened to Chumash? Let's go through this. We got to stop here. We got to go through the counter. You know what's going on, right? So again, we leave Egypt in Pesach. 4 weeks tonight's the Seder, right? So that's pretty scary, huh? So ours wonderful, right? Not when it's during, not when it's in the middle of school. That's not as wonderful. So 4 weeks tonight's the Seder. So Bnei Yisrael leave on the 15th of. Actually, when they leave is a great question. They leave in the middle of the night. They leave in the morning. Whatever. They leave the 15th of Nisan. I guess then we're clear for sure it's 15th of Nisan according to all opinions, right? We leave Mitzrayim 7 weeks till Shavuos. When's Chet Egel? Not really. Moshe goes out for 40 days. What we all taught in school? It's a whole topic, right? Moshe is late in coming back. Because Moshe is late in coming back, there's Chet Egel. Now we're missing something. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, right? Because Moshe, Bnei Yisrael miscalculated the days, and therefore they said Chet Egel. You have to understand what that really means. That seems a little strange. But it's Chet Egel. That's when Shvar Tammuz. Moshe breaks the luchos. When does Moshe break the luchos on? Shvar Tammuz. Right? Yes? No? Yes. Then he has to go back up to Daven, and then he goes, right, 40 days. Then that's until Rosh Chodesh Elul. Then he has another 40 days. And when are Bnei Yisrael forgiven? On Yom Kippur, 40 days later, which is the 10th of Tishrei. Then, according to Rashi, after the 10th of Tishrei, what are we commanded to build? The Mishkan. If that's true, when's the commandment to build and to give Machatzit shekel? What month? At least we're commanded. What's really neat, if we're commanded to build the Mishkan, right after Yom Kippur, what's that called? It's called Sukkot. What do you think Sukkot is? Isn't Sukkot the Mishkan? It's the same idea. Well, in the Sukkah that we do today, it's the same commandment that Bnei Yisrael perhaps got to build the Mishkan. Sukkah, Sukkot, Mishkan, okay, Shechina, same idea. So, if that's true, when are we commanded to build the Mishkan? In the month of Tishrei. So when was the commandment to Kitisa in our Parsha this week? If you hold that it's after Chet Egel, Tishrei. Well, I just read to you, when were we commanded to count the people? ER. How far away is Tishrei from ER? 7 months, right? Well, 6 months, we know that's very easy to count. Tishrei to Nisan, they're exact mirror images, they're 6 months away. So ER is another month after, so 7 months. So maybe something like 6.5 months, whatever. It's approximately 7 months. Tishrei to ER. So what day of the ER is this? Does it say the day? The Echad L'Chodesh, Rosh Chodesh ER. It's really 6.5 months. Okay, fine. Now we clear on that? So 6.5 months later, we're told to take a census. And the number is the exact same. Why is that strange? Should be growing. Now isn't that what populations usually do? Unless you're liberal, you don't have children, or you just have abortions, you don't get married. Well, that's what's happening in the world today, right? Only religious people have kids today. So, how are the numbers the exact same? When do they die, and why do they die? Careful. Chet ego? Not chet ego. What are they told they have to die from? Not chet ego, but chet? Now you're going to appreciate this. What's going to happen? This is an ER. I'm not learning except for Midbar now. We'll talk about this, get together maybe in May. But what happens? Bnei are supposed to travel, right? So what's the plan? Once all this is over and they build the Mishkan, everything's ready to go. Rosh Chodesh Nisan, they're building the Mishkan, they're ready to travel. They're taking a census. Parshas Baloscha. They're ready to go. What's the first delay? We'll complain again, no? We'll complain all over again in year 2 in ER. That stuff still complains. Then they're about to travel, and then they say stop. Why do they stop? Mir Metzaras. They stop a whole week for it, don't they? Then they're about to travel, and what happens? More complaining. And eventually, they're going to send spies. Are they going to send spies? The spies are going to come back. And when are they going to come back on? Tisha B'Av. And all of a sudden now, the game changes completely. There's 38 years until we can go to Eretz Canaan, Eretz Yisrael. Okay, does that calendar a bit clearer now? And there's nothing in the Chumash for 38 years until Parshas Chukas opens up in the year 40. We're not actually in the desert for 42 years. We're in the desert for 42 years. You know why? Because it can't be that. Even though it's year 2 and that we're told that to spend 40 years in the desert, we get credit for the past year and a half we spent in the desert, right? You know why that has to be the case? How was Moshe when he appears before Paro? 80. How is Moshe when he dies? 120. You don't have any wiggle room. There's no wiggle room. You only have 40 years, right? So you got to say those are the 40 years. Otherwise, the numbers don't add up. Unless you hold the Chumash rounds off, which isn't so crazy, because in the census in Bamidbar, every number ends with a 0 or a 5. They're like the Canadian government. The pennies, they don't count. You got to round up or down. No, is that the rule now? So it's not so. Maybe, I'm not saying that's for sure. So Machlokas for sure if that's what they did or not. Okay, that's not so off topic. Let's get back to our. So what's going on with this whole counting thing? Something very strange with this counting. So I'm going to give you an answer, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about counting. This bothered me for a very long time. How can the numbers be the same? We shouldn't even deal with trying to figure out, 7 months later, the numbers are the exact same. So there's a Ramban, which I probably didn't show you. Yeah, the Ramban I didn't bring. The Ramban has to deal with this, it goes on Rashi, but the most simplest answer is, the most basic answer is, it's actually the exact same census. If you're living a few thousand years ago, how long do you think it would take you to count 600,000 people? 7 months, no? That's not so. I'll give you an guys, everyone bring me a half shekel coin. What do they have, like computers? How are you going to